Hey, this is Ryan, and I usually post on Disruptarian.com. A few days ago, while I was here at work at Dragon & Koi, a business that my girlfriend and I work together and own, a couple came in. We started talking about children because my daughter was with us and she was helping us pass out cookies. And they, asked about her, and I said, "Well, do you guys have kids?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they said, do you have any kids? Or how many kids have you got? And they're like, "Well, we got a lot." And they told me they had 13, 8 of their own biological children and 5 adopted. They adopted some foster kids that they had taken in. And so we started talking about Jesus and, what motivates people to be so kind and to offer the agape love of God, charity and things that, you give to somebody, but they can never return the favor. You don't do it because they can bless you. You do it because it blesses you to bless them. And that's like agape love. That's God love. And we started talking about the Bible, and we started talking about, a change in my life that took place when I was a teenager. I was like 19 when I developed a relationship and a desire to be a disciple of Christ. And, where my life was then, I was miserable. I was, into drugs and promiscuous sex and, just a dark and negative lifestyle. And I had a dark and negative attitude a lot of the time about it. And my world situation didn't change, but my heart situation changed when I found Jesus. I was still poor, homeless, down and out. But Jesus came in and started healing me, and I started having this more positive attitude about the world. And then people like Grandma Penny Babbitt and her husband Leroy and their family kind of took me in and adopted me as one of their own and, considered me family. And just that genuine love and charity, that agape love, where they didn't expect anything in return. They just wanted to love me and bless me with Christ's love. That changed my heart. And so today I just was thinking about a video that I made the night before my car accident that changed my whole life. I ended up, the guy hit me head on going against traffic the wrong way on the freeway in Oregon on I-5. He was killed. He was decapitated. The engine was pushed into my lap and it broke my legs all to hell. My shoulder, my arm came apart, my teeth came out. And but the night before that accident, I talked about all the things that I was grateful for. I didn't complain. All I had was praises for the life I lived. I was working 96 hours a week. I had just driven from Redding, California to Seattle, Washington, Kirkland, Washington, for training and for some service on some hospitals that I worked for. I was in automated pharmacies, so I was a system administrator, and I had to go to all these places between Redding, California and Kirkland, Washington. And I'd been up for 3 days, and then I was supposed to drive back, and I did. After 3 days of working, I drove back to Northern California, and on the way there, a guy went on the wrong side of the freeway to try to kill himself. He had done this in March of 2013 and failed. The cops pulled him over, took his car away, took his driver's license, took his insurance, and then in May of 2013, he hit me head on and killed himself. No insurance, no settlement for me out of that, other than some workers' comp, which was insignificant. It wasn't a whole lot of money. Even after my accident, I look back at the videos I'd make, the blogs and things, and I had no resentment, no anger, no hatred towards anybody, just happy tripper life and attitude because of the way that God had blessed me and the life that I had been given. And I think I've gotten away from that. I'm always dealing with distractions that are negative and critical and not positive, just constant criticism of things and constant negative attitudes of things. That's surrounded me in a lot of ways in the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe even longer than that. Maybe 5 years it's been since that has started. Well, I guess it started with me and my ex-wife shortly after the accident when we started not getting along. It was like 2 or 3 weeks after the accident, and the criticism and the negativity was forced at me constantly. And I think that really derailed me in a lot of ways in the positive life that I had been living for so long. But I'm dedicated to stay on the positive path, to count my blessings and to be grateful. And if you look at my videos, I'll post some links here. in the description, but you can look at my videos from before the accident, after the accident. And if you knew me before I left home when I was a kid, I was a real shit person. You know, just negative attitude, had a lot of fights with my parents. My dad was an alcoholic, and I left home very early to live with family and then to live on my own. And the difference between, you know, when I was a kid and, you know, homeless or traveling or, you know, on my own or whatever, and the difference between that and when I found a relationship with Jesus and became a disciple of his teachings, the difference is significant. You know, I'm not a great Christian. You know, I'm living with my girlfriend out of wedlock right now. We've been doing this for 2 years. I don't follow all the rules. I don't claim to be a good Christian. I'm just saying that what it's done for me as a person, you know, this is a tattoo I got when I first found a relationship with Christ. It says forgiven. And anyway, the knowledge of just that the creator of the universe is interested in the well-being of what he's created and is there. And there's more to this world than the superficial reality we live. All of that changed my perspective, and I'm grateful for it to this day. Bless up. Take care of you. So as at work today, me and Amelie and Ellie, we were talking with a customer, the last customer we just had, who we were talking about kids, because Amelie was passing out cookies, and they told me, well, we have a lot of kids, after I asked them how many kids they had, and they had 13. And so we got talking a lot about it, and they had adopted 5 of them, which was awesome to me, because when I was young, I left home early and had some Christian volunteers at a soup kitchen I went to kind of adopt me as well. And we started talking about Christ and, you know, his charity and love and his kindness. And we talked a lot about, you know, how it changed my life and how I was so happy they did that for the kids that they took in and adopted. I guess they had a bunch of foster kids, but they adopted 5 of them, and they had 8 of their own kids. And it was just a beautiful thing. I thought it was so sweet. And so it just brought me back. I cried for a good 30 minutes, talked a lot about the Bible. One of the most important changes in my life was when people believed in me, when I felt good and confident and loving about myself. And it was because of those people, those Christians that took me in, Penny Babbitt and Leroy Babbitt and their kids, Lynn, and the rest of them. That whole family is just amazing. So praise God for those people, and those people with kindness and charity in their heart.
This is Ryan at Cincy Life Community News, my little personal blog. Here I sit, it's 2 a.m. Been up all day working. I traveled here from California last night, got here about 3 a.m. Went to work at about 7, worked all day, came home, took a little bit of a nap, woke up at 11. I don't know what it is. It's either 9 or 11, no matter what. Even if I've been up for 2 days straight, I have to wake up. It's because of this graveyard shift. It's crazy. You know, I don't know how many people realize this, but, you know, working graveyards screws up your whole effing system. It really messes me up. Not that I could have it any other way. I think that I'm stuck on graveyard permanently. It's, you know, this is the way I've been for as long back as I can remember. All the way back into high school and junior high, I had to be up all night. But I've read that it takes like 10 years off your life if you are like that. If you're nocturnal like me, then you know, your average life expectancy is roughly 10 years less. But so tomorrow I'll be up at the ass crack of dawn getting ready for work. I'll work all day, and then I'll drive back to California. right? I mean, that's my life, though, as far as, activity or social activity or any of that. I don't have any, you know. Working graveyard kills that for me. Um, just being a nocturnal person in general. So I'm up all night, everybody else is sleeping, right? And I typically go to bed at like 6 or 7 a.m., sleep all day, wake up for work, and go back to the same routine. Um, when I sleep, when I'm, working graveyard, I actually lose more hours because I sleep more, just based on the, lack of sunshine and, just my body not working the way normal people's bodies work. So I sleep more sometimes, or at least I nap. Like I'll go to sleep. I'll sleep for a couple hours. I'll wake up. I'll go back to sleep. Sleep for a couple hours. I'll wake up. Go to sleep. Sleep for a couple hours. Wake up. Get absolutely nothing done during the day. So while it's a benefit to me to work graveyard because that's my instinct to be nocturnal. People may think that working at home like I do and possibly having more free time would be this benefit because I'm working at home and I work at night and I don't have a lot of distractions and such. But I'm losing life expectancy and I lose hours in my day every day. It's a pretty big sacrifice. I understand why, typically when you go and get a job third shift, they pay you a shift differential for working, the late shift. And that's why, it's seriously why you're working your life away in a way because you're losing years by working graveyard. Your health, and everything else changes in weird ways. But I'm not complaining. My life is very blessed. I'm so absolutely happy to be alive. I actually went out to dinner with some colleagues last night. I don't know why. I always bawl when I talk about my family. And I gotta just stop. But, I just had a breakdown. I just felt like, okay, here we are at dinner. I don't know why it felt like this little family thing. And I miss my family. I don't talk to, my siblings and my mom and such. But, yeah, it was, I don't even know where I was going with that. I've just been constantly working, and I think that, you know, my work life, somehow in some ways blends in with my personal life, and, work seems like family to me, you know. I mean, these people are like, they're good people and they are good friends. A lot of them are just really amazing people. My boss, never been able to really say that about too many of my bosses that I like them as much as I do. But my boss is cool, and people I work with are cool. And just to sit down and have some dinner last night was really enjoyable. But I got to do this again. I don't know how I'm going to be up for 3 days straight, and then have to go back to work again. Because as soon as I get home, I'll sleep. You know, I'll catch up on sleep, but then I have to start again Sunday night. So it's crazy. I was meaning to see like Jared Holloway. I got some tie dyes for him, and I was meaning to see my grandma Penny. She's my adopted grandma from when I first came to Washington. I was like a homeless traveler, drifter, whatever, and she kind of adopted me as someone to care about, and um, she let me call her Grandma Penny. And anyway, I've been meaning to see a whole bunch of people, but I mean, what am I supposed to do with my free time at 2 in the morning? I think it's 2 a.m. right now. Yeah, it's 2:08, and here I sit in my hotel room with nobody to visit. I can't be visiting people at 2 a.m. with nothing to do, and I have no choice but to be up. I was just thinking about if I would have died during this car accident. I have thoughts here and there. But I was thinking, what would have happened if I had assets to give to my kids? Like, for example, if, the other guy would have had car insurance and I would have died and there would have been a settlement or so on and so forth.
And would that have helped them or hindered them? And, I would have kind of hoped that they would have saw life on their own merit without that. My dad died. My mom and dad set us down, my wife and I, about 6 months before he died. He was doing stuff for his pulmonary, his lungs and stuff. And this is 100% truth, and you can ask my wife, or one of these days when these lie detector things work, you can run this through the lie detector. But my dad had a house in Delta, Utah, and a house in Springville, Utah, and a couple of assets, like a nice four-wheeler, a nice truck, and some acreage and stuff. And he set us down, my wife and I, and said, okay, well, we're splitting this up 3 ways in the will. We're making the will now. We're going to do this between all 3 of you. And you're all going to get a third. And I told him, nope, thanks anyway. If anybody needs it, it's probably going to be my brother, but I really don't need it. And you don't have much, so don't worry about me anyway. We'll take care of ourselves, And it probably would have been $30,000 or $40,000, but whatever, I don't know. I think we've done good without it, because even though we could have invested it in a business and got started really strong, at the same point, we wouldn't have learned all the little lessons in between to start a business, right? Because we've learned all the things you do wrong. We've done all those things, and we'll probably continue to do more. But, we've learned from our mistakes, and we didn't have any kind of cushion. Everything we've got is everything we've ever earned. Nothing's been given to us. If it has, it's been paid back. So I don't think that, getting an inheritance is going to be a huge thing for my kids. I think what we'll probably end up doing is deeding them the property that we have. We've collected a couple of properties in California, and we've got one in Maine now. And I think what we'll do is we'll deed the property to them to use, but if they sell it, then 60% goes to the charity of my choice, and then they get 10% each. There'll be 4 kids. So, if they cash out, they get hardly anything. It's something in case they need it, but, it's really not enough to desire to sell such a cool piece of property. And I would like them to use it, maybe vacation in it. Maybe if someone's hard up and needs it, use it as a refuge for their family. Take turns with it. Maybe I could write something into the will for that. The guy didn't have insurance who hit me, so I probably won't be getting any kind of a settlement. I'll be, probably 80% or 90%, so there will be some disability, that I'm going to have. And so I may get something, but it's not going to be much. And I really don't care either way. We mused on the idea of, if we had this much money, we would do this, this, and this. And, we would help our family this way, and we'd do this, and we'd pay off that, and we'd, do all this and that, go on vacation, whatever. But I don't know. It's one of those things like maybe it's probably better off this way, just like with my father when he was going to put us on his will or whatever, and we were like, yeah, whatever, It's not a big deal. Even though I work really hard, I figure I would work really hard no matter if I had the job I had or if I was doing general labor. And so I might as well get paid good for what I do. And so I work with, I work smarter and not harder. I do computers and I make pretty good wage. But I do miss, being outside and working and building things with my hands. So we've built dome homes. We've constructed our own little greenhouses and, bought shop equipment to build everything from scratch. And we're going to improve this house in Maine and improve our property in California. And so, I do like to work with my hands, but, when it comes down to it, I'm not going to refuse more money unless it's free. And I really don't enjoy free. So unless I can work for it, it doesn't really matter. With my father, I really couldn't work for it. We fixed up his house, the one in Delta, that he had. For a while, my sister and her husband, I guess he was her husband, father of her 2 kids, her first 2, he was on drugs, and he set a fire in the house, and there was black walls, from one end of the house to the other. So my wife and I painted the house and improved it and things like that. But I still didn't feel like my dad owed me anything. I mean, we kind of traded that for rent, and I wasn't going to accept free rent, so I did whatever I could to help him. I didn't have a lot of money, but he did help us, and I helped him with whatever I could. But I like the value of things,
Did I earn it? Did I not? So I don't know. That's what we try to strive for. If I would have found a way to really earn my dad's estate, the third that he wanted to give me, I wouldn't have turned it down. But I felt like my little brother, he's already, kind of disabled or whatever. He doesn't work. And if anything, he needs it more than I do. So that's what we told him. And that's the fact of the matter. That's the truth of the deal. It's not that, I just didn't, get along with my dad and he didn't give me anything. If you heard the conversations that I recorded of me and him before he passed away, you would know how close of friends we were. I miss my father very much. I always will. But I don't care about his money. Peace out.